In November 1918, the guns of World War I finally fell silent. Millions hoped the nightmare was over. But the end of the war did not bring true peace. It left behind destroyed cities, broken economies, wounded societies, and political anger. The First World War had ended on the battlefield, but its consequences were only beginning.
The human cost was almost impossible to measure. Millions were dead, millions more were wounded, and entire families were left searching for sons, fathers, and brothers who never returned. A generation had grown up in trenches, gas attacks, artillery fire, and hunger. Even for those who survived, the war followed them home.
One of the biggest consequences of the war was the collapse of empires. The German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Russian Empire. All fell or transformed under the pressure of war and revolution. Old rulers disappeared, borders were redrawn, and millions of people suddenly found themselves inside new political realities. After the war, the map of Europe changed dramatically. New countries appeared, old borders vanished, and ethnic groups were divided between new states. The idea was to create stability, but the results were complicated. Many new borders created fresh tensions, leaving behind unresolved disputes that would shape European politics for decades. The Treaty of Versailles was meant to settle the war, but it became one of the most controversial peace agreements in modern history. Germany was forced to accept responsibility, lose territory, limit its military, and pay heavy reparations. For many Germans, the treaty felt less like peace and more like humiliation. Germany, defeat, and the Treaty of Versailles created bitterness that spread through society. Economic hardship, political instability, and national humiliation fed resentment. Many Germans believed they had been betrayed or punished too harshly. This anger did not immediately create another war, but it created the atmosphere in which extremist ideas could grow. The fall of the Ottoman Empire reshaped the Middle East. Former Ottoman lands were divided into mandates and spheres of influence, often decided by outside powers. New borders and political arrangements changed the region's future. Many disputes that emerged after the war would echo through the 20th century and beyond. The war also helped destroy the Russian Empire. Military failures, hunger, and political anger exploded into revolution. The Tsar was overthrown, civil war followed, and a new communist state eventually emerged. The consequences of World War I were not only territorial, they changed ideologies, governments, and the balance of power across the world. To prevent another catastrophe, leaders created the League of Nations. It was meant to solve disputes through diplomacy and collective security. But the League was weakened by limited power, political divisions, and the absence or reluctance of major powers at crucial moments. The dream of peace existed, but the system built to protect it was fragile.
The post-war years brought economic pain across many societies. Soldiers returned to countries that could not easily absorb them. Industries had been damaged, debts were enormous, and inflation destroyed savings in some places. The promise of peace felt empty to people facing hunger, unemployment, and political chaos in the streets. The First World War did not directly make the Second World War inevitable, but it created many of the conditions that made another conflict possible. Humiliation, economic crisis, border disputes, nationalism, and weak international enforcement all created dangerous pressure. The peace that followed the war failed to heal the wounds it had opened. The consequences of the First World War reached far beyond 1918. It ended empires, redrew borders, transformed politics, reshaped the Middle East, weakened old powers, and helped create the conditions for another world war. The war that was supposed to end all wars instead became the beginning of a new and unstable modern age.